Hello, Meoni here, and welcome back to another Tea Time with Meoni. This time we're doing it a little bit differently. We have two parts of this. The first part will be me talking to you like usual, because some people prefer that. And then the second half will be with me and James. Now, James will be returning from the last episode. Some people didn't like the idea of guests. Some people did like the idea of guests. So I'm making it so that you can choose what part of this you watch and what part you'd rather not listen to. So I thought that was the fairest way of actually doing it. I think you'll agree. So, tea time. I don't know why, but a week just seems like a lifetime at the minute. I think it's because time is moving so slowly and we're just looking towards 5.3 and in pretty much every regard. I'm pretty sure I've scraped the barrel with every sort of little hint of stuff to come. And obviously, it's been making me make more creative sort of videos, let's say. So I'm a massive fan of the lore side of the game. So I've been doing some lore videos. Now, they don't get the most views, but it was never really about that anyway. A lot of the stuff I've been reading, I've really enjoyed. It gives me a good reason to actually read things. I'm the sort of person that will actually read something depending on whether or not I do a video about it. It's really weird. I just personally wish that I had like a YouTube channel where I could just read my entire library, because I'd probably actually get through a backlog of books that I've just never read. I'm the sort of person that buys a book, reads like the first chapter, then puts it down, forgets about it, and by the time I've wanting to come back to it, it's under a pile of other books and I've completely lost it or forgotten about it. And essentially we go from there. And it's basically the same with games as well. You know, if I'm not making videos on games, I don't think a lot of people realize how many hours I put into this channel. So yeah, a lot of the videos are 5-10 minutes maximum in terms of length. They've been a lot longer more recently. I think this year I've made the videos a lot longer than they used to be in the previous years. But that's mostly due to the fact that I like to share my opinions a lot more. When I first started this whole project, I was a lot more sterile than I am now. And I found, whilst that's good for views and people can obviously form their own opinions, sometimes it just feels a little bit hollow to not have your own input. And in the past, I was deliberately holding back on a lot of those opinions because I thought they were very controversial and that not many people would side with them. It wasn't necessarily the fear of people not siding with them. It was the fear of saying something that would upset somebody. And when it comes to 2020 and indeed 2019 back then, pretty much everything you could say somehow managed to offend someone. I know that's a bit of a meme and, you know, a false truth, but at the same time, on the internet at least, it really was true. You couldn't infer anything without massive backlash. And that's not me saying anything, you know, about racism or any other, you know, politics or anything like that. Just basic things like pronunciation of words. We're talking that sort of base level. But over the time that you sort of do this stuff, you start to kind of not give as much of an F. And at that point, you realize that you can be more opinionated on things and that people will, or at least the majority of people will still stick around because they want to hear your opinion on things. And I think you can flesh out your character more if you're more honest within reason. That's not to say I wasn't being honest. I wasn't exactly making videos that were aiming to be dishonest. It was more over the fact that I was creating videos for the purpose of creating videos when this began as a passion project. And it kind of faded into this sort of almost neutrality. But now I'd like to think in the latter half of 2019 and indeed this year, I've been a lot more open with things. I've been on a lot more podcasts and, you know, guests on other people's podcasts and spoke my mind a little bit more than perhaps, you know, some people will argue I should. But at the same time, there is a level of professionalism that's required of this sort of business. But at the same time, you have to just be able to relax right in front of a camera or a microphone or whatever it is. So I'd like to think I'm a bit more free form. Now, the less main content there is happening, the more I have to sort of dig into my creativity. And I'll tell you, it's been one of the most therapeutic things to come out of this whole crisis. Now, it is a very, very sad thing, and it's devastating. I can't stress that enough. I'm not trying to make light of the situation at all. There are plenty of people I know that have had, family members that have been affected by this, and thankfully I don't know anyone directly that's passed away yet, but things are pretty messed up. I'm pretty lucky in that regard. I'm very lucky. Every day that I wake up and I don't hear any bad news like that from my immediate family is a really, really, really positive thing. So I just kind of try to make videos. I try to make as much stuff on a varied amount of topics for Final Fantasy XIV specifically that people can get their teeth stuck into. Now, obviously, with development plans changing and, a bit of a lull in the content, I do end up reaching more creative elements and trying to dig into what I could even do. Now, I do the housing videos. Some people like those. Again, the views are not incredible, but they're never going to be incredible. The discussion topics are like some of my best viewed stuff recently. I'm really, really happy about that, because if I did like a discussion topic last year or even in 2018, I would not get anywhere near the same amount of views. So it makes me happy to know that I've finally sort of almost built a bit of a character presence on YouTube where people can actually relate to things that I talk about. And for the most part, the comment sections have been fairly constructive. The bigger the channel gets, though, I have noticed the more trolls appear, or indeed people who do, negatively. I wouldn't say just completely negatively, because negative comments aren't necessarily bad if they're constructive. I've always been about this. People disliking negative comments is fine. That's a choice you can do. But I'm not one of these YouTubers who will go out of their way to try and remove comments. If anything, if somebody says something controversial constructively, I will probably press the like button so it gets more views from you guys when you hit the comment section. Now, I don't know if that's essentially like putting them on a pedestal so we can throw tomatoes, or if, which isn't my intention at all, or if it's more of a fact that I want people to engage with this person, leave the insults and slurs at the door and just try and be constructive with it, which is easier said than done, right? There are plenty of YouTubers that manage this entirely different. There are plenty of people that just don't look in the comment sections of their videos and they don't take things to heart, which ultimately would be fun to do, like if you could completely distance yourself from your community, but at the same, like you would sleep well at night, not wanting to do this, not letting people down, not wanting to achieve anything based on plans or ambition. But at the same time, you'd be lying to yourself, because what you really get the most pleasure out of, or at least from my perspective, is actually positively engaging with those people, finding out what they like and dislike about something, and then trying to make something for them specifically. So they might not like all of the content on your channel, but if they have their own suggestions, or if they want to reach to that point, I've always been one that's open to ideas. They're not stolen ideas. I'm asking for suggestions and people give me them. Some suggestions I sort of nod along to and don't actually end up doing, but that's mostly due to time limitations. But for the most part, I will seriously think about something. When I create videos, unfortunately, I still have this, or fortunately in some people's eyes, I have this sort of perspective that if I want to make the video, and it's something that I will enjoy doing, or at least I think it's something I might enjoy doing, I will do it just to test the water. I'll probably do too many of those videos before I realize that, I probably shouldn't be doing them. Especially when it came to other games like Final Fantasy VII. But that's a fair assumption, right? I might have moaned about Final Fantasy VII and how I was losing subscribers, but at the end of the day, this channel is primarily Final Fantasy XIV. I've never actually said that. It's not in the description or anything like that. It's just a place I post videos. Now, it's still to this point a place where I will post what I want to. But understandably, I'm not going to be doing any more playthroughs. I have created a second channel for that. I'm not really going to link it or anything. It's in my sidebar on my channel. If you're interested, it's Meoni2. But I've not really got anything on there apart from old cringy videos from when I started YouTube, when I was testing microphones and trying to figure out how the hell I was supposed to do any of this. And my voice is really high-pitched and weird, and I don't know how to speak. It's really weird back then. But everyone starts somewhere, but you learn things as you go. This is a whole learning process. And for people who don't look in the comments section of their videos, usually, I mean, I used to be massively like that, and for the most part, it still triggers me a little bit, is the idea that someone could say something that would completely ruin my day. My solution to that is to get someone else to look at the comments with me, or at least go ahead of me, and let me know if it's going to be a bad time or not. If a majority of comments are constructive, I would love to just read through those. There are a lot of videos that go out on the channel, and for the most part, I don't read all of the comments, mostly because it's kind of not time efficient, right? As I said before, not many people realize how long it actually takes me from the start of a project to a finished product to then it being uploaded. I've said before about my internet being trash. It's still trash. With the restrictions lifting a little bit on the current situation in the world, I should be able to travel out to my local upload point where I upload via my phone on 4G network. So my uploads will increase in regularity. But at the moment, I'm doing videos a day in advance to try and get stuff done, which is a really healthy attitude to do this. I always look at this as not necessarily a job, but a duty, and I get itchy if I miss a day. Yeah, I've talked about that before as well. But the way I approach content is usually I'll just sit there, I'll have a notepad, not a physical notepad. My hand is incapable of writing anymore for some reason. I've been typing for too long. And I'll be typing up ideas. And usually I just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. That's the old saying, isn't it? But that's why we get stuff like lore videos, which for some reason, I mean, I look at the analytics, I look at what people say. Some people say I have the voice of like an angel, and some people say that I could bore paint to death, which is a fair thing to say. It's a very monotone kind of boring tone. But it's my voice. It's what it's evolved into, if you want to use that sort of evolved. I'm not sure it's evolved, changed over time. But if you compare it to some of my first videos on the channel, indeed the other channel, it was a completely different person back then. I've completely changed, and I'd like to say for the better. I try to do as much as I possibly can to be entertaining, but what you see is kind of what you get. I can't really change myself more than I already have over the years. I'm not going to put on a face. I'm not going to pretend. I am genuinely really excited about Final Fantasy XIV, and that's why there's so many videos on it. We recently went over the 2,000 video mark. Now, admittedly, not all of those videos are FF related, but, at least 1,000 something of those, maybe 1,500 of those or Final Fantasy XIV related, which still kind of blows me away. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the 60k mark on subscribers. We're at 57.3 at the time of this video. Oh man, I'm loving YouTube. I don't know what it is, but it's addictive, and I'm loving it. And it doesn't pay the best, but as long as I can scrape by, put money back into the project from Patreon, and then use some of this stuff to actually pay my rent, I'm good. I don't really need anything crazy. All of the stuff is being reinvested. I've saved up for 2 years now. Obviously, I've had bills to pay and things to pay out. But for 2 years, I've been saving up for a new computer. Because most people don't realize that I was basically given a computer by a patron. It's sort of like a pieced together setup, and it does the job quite well, but it was never meant to be a long-term thing. It's running quite well, but it's chugging a bit. It needs a bit of work. So I'm coming to the point where I will be wanting to invest into a new computer. And as you can imagine, 2 years worth of savings isn't too bad. I've done pretty well considering the amount of, things I've had to spend and things I've had to buy and gifts for people and, you know, all sorts of events on a pretty shoestring sort of budget for the past few years. Obviously, YouTube is not paying well, so it takes a long time for someone like myself to save up for things like this. And I really want to do an unboxing video of my new PC, which I should be able to get in like 2 to 3 months now. But I'm also kind of a bit worried that people are going to say, oh, you've thrown our money into a pile of parts of a computer that is overkill and isn't necessary, and, you know, you're more well off than you make out or something. It's like, no, I come from a working class family. I decided to make videos instead of keeping my job in retail. That's the truth of it in real life. I worked in retail for, I don't know, it was probably like 5 years or something in different stores. It was nothing exciting, let's put it that way. I spent 9 years of my life in higher education, went to university, got a degree in a BA honours in audio production and broadcasting. And have I used it in the real world? No, I have not. Have I used it in video production? Absolutely. All of the stuff I learned on that course, microphone techniques, the type of microphone to get, the audio editing stuff that honestly I'm not very good at. It's like I know about it, I'm just not 100% brilliant at it, as people no doubt have noticed. The audio quality on some of my videos leaves a lot to be desired, and that's, you know, mostly because sometimes you just don't have time to correct some of the errors, or you forget a process. It's like significant steps in noise cancellation, for example, and noise gating, which sometimes I forget. Or if it's in a situation where you're doing a live recording, you know, a plane goes over, there's nothing I can do about that. But in post, if I was to put the extra time in, I could get rid of that. I could use what I know to get rid of that sound completely. But I don't really think it's necessarily worth it. I try to make a production that people can watch and enjoy, and I try to make a range of different content from the game that I'm most enjoying, which is Final Fantasy XIV. So we've got lore videos, we've got news videos, a lot of people like those. We've got the discussion topics, which people are actually loving. I'm loving that. We've got the silly machinima stuff, more recently the unnecessary censorship, which I'm very happy to say kind of pleased a few people. The reason I created that stuff was predominantly because there are a lot of people that I know. I've mentioned this before, but a friend of mine, Zarafiel, he's a Patreon supporter. There's many others like this. I'm just using him as an example again. Works for the NHS, right? They work in healthcare. There's nothing more painful, I would imagine right now, than a 50-50 death rate on something like this. And to live with seeing that every single day, and to keep going back and working, I don't know, ridiculously long shifts throughout the entire week with very little support from the government in places, you know, without getting political again. It's, you know, these are just basic facts. These people are the bread and butter of society, if there is anything left of society at all, in my opinion. And they work very, very hard with very little room for humor. So people like myself, I feel that it's my duty as a content creator, if you want to call me that, or an influencer, as someone else called me last year. It's kind of like my duty, whatever title you give me, to make stuff that if it makes one person smile or laugh, then it was worth it. Somebody commented, oh, congratulations, you know how to do basic editing. I'm going to leave now. Here's your unsubscription. To that effect. I can't remember the exact quote, and I'm not listing them on screen. Screw them. But essentially, you know, that is a valid point. It is basic editing. It's nothing exciting. It's just me putting a bleep mark. Those videos take from 8:30 in the morning till about 5 p.m. to create in a typical day. Most people who create machinimation or stuff like that would take a week to actually put this stuff together. I also do more videos than that for the same day. I did lore videos for the previous day, as you saw. I did a news video. So I do 15 to 20 videos a week because I love doing it. I could just do 5 clickbait videos that I admittedly, you know, I stay away from as much as possible. I don't intentionally make clickbait videos, but some things could be taken that way. I don't know. I try my best to not clickbait people. I don't think it's fair. But, you know, I make 15 to 20 videos, 10 if I'm really, really not doing very well. There have been weeks where I've managed like 7 to 10 and I've felt the worst. But that's because of real life situations, mental issues, I don't know, various illnesses, stuff like that. But at the minute, I'm in the right frame of mind and I want to keep chugging along. And I don't just spurt content everywhere and expect people to consume it. I don't want to be the guy that just spams videos. I want each of those videos to have some kind of context and interest in them. So people who are arguing with me and saying that I don't put any content into these videos and they're just like either not necessarily clickbait, but short, crappy videos and things. What more could I do for that video? There's very little else to do. Have you seen how well I cover, or at least in my opinion, how well I cover expansions? Like the launch of an expansion, I will do, I think my record was something like 21 videos in a day. I don't know how I do that. I don't know how I did that for Stormblood, but I did, right? If you look back at the timestamps on the videos, if you can scroll that far, or sort by the oldest and go up, I really enjoy making content for the game. That's what the first thing that people forget. The second thing is I don't have time to do anything else, but that's my choice. My hobby is the same thing as my passion, which is just so happens to be the same thing as my workplace now. And you guys are making that entirely possible by watching and listening to stuff like this, where I'm talking and rambling for like hours and hours. But you guys are watching this stuff. You want to know that part of it. And I'm trying to be as truthful and honest with you as possible. But at the same time, what you see is what you get. If I'm excited about something, I'm excited about something. Not everything I'm excited about. Usually if there's something that's not on a channel, it's either time constraints or I'm not interested in it. But at the same time, I've really tried to broaden my horizons. I think YouTube is single-handedly responsible for me actually trying PvP out in Final Fantasy XIV to actually do the Savage raiding. Yeah, those clear videos don't get many views, but they're mostly for my medal collection. Is that something I could say? Like every single video on my channel, I see as not just doing a job or uploading for the sake of it. I see it as each one is like a little medal. Like, yes, I've cleared that. You know, I've completed that bit. I've talked about that. I can reference that now. People can see my opinions on things. They can engage with that. And I think that's a really positive way of looking at it. Analytically, that is the worst possible way of making YouTube videos. You ask anybody else who makes Final Fantasy XIV videos that's approachable, they will tell you that what you're supposed to do is look at the analytics and see which has the most views and go that direction. Also, there's a thing called negative click-through, where essentially you can clickbait somebody and then the more negativity it gets, the higher it puts up. For some reason, from what I can tell, if this is still the case, negative impressions on a video actually work higher than positive impressions. So thumbs up are counted less than thumbs down. So more people will see a controversial video, you know, than they will see a positive. Now, if you look at society, that makes complete sense. The way that people are attracted to danger, the way that people are attracted to drama. And that's why there are several channels that center around that. They are making absolute bank off of, you know, other people's situations like that. And that's fine. That's for them to do. But I do it my way. And if I say that I want to make a video about, I don't know, a cheese collection item, a housing item, I don't really care if it gets 1K views or 5. Somebody out there will watch that video and will appreciate it. I don't care. I don't care who it is or how many people appreciate it, but somebody appreciates it. If I get constructive feedback and say that actually it would be better if you showed this, this, and this, or if people engaged why they don't want that sort of stuff, then I would adjust the content based on that. I'm more of the sort of person that talks to people than I am to look at graphs. and numbers. I know that's probably not the right thing for me to do in this industry or business or whatever you want to call it, but I don't bother. So yeah, I make what I want to for the most part, and then I see what happens. The unnecessary censorship might not be everyone's cup of tea. I've had people say that they're unsubscribing because it's kind of like child humor. I should know better, blah, blah, blah. I found it amusing. My Discord community, for the most part, found it amusing. I need to blow off some steam now and again, and that's not an easy editing job. Yeah, okay, it's easy for some people. For me, that takes hours to do all of the subtitles frame by frame. Jesus, just the thought process and the editing, the choosing the right bits. It takes ages, but I love doing it. That's the reason I do it, and that's the reason I do any of this stuff. Fashion Report is probably one of the only videos, like video series that I've done as a necessity, mostly to help people. I'm not very helpful, but I try to maintain stuff. Now, some people have accused me of just going onto a Reddit thread and copying all of that stuff. Now, whilst that's for the most part how you would do it anyway, a lot of the time we do take part in, trying different colors out to see what the correct dyes are for that thing. And, a lot of market research on the Japanese Twitter accounts, which will immediately post better results than anyone else first. It's impossible to give credit to every single individual person, so I simply just link a Reddit thread in the descriptions of those videos. Some people might think that's not good. I'm personally able to sleep at night knowing that I've credited a place where people can discuss it that's public. But yeah, I make those videos. I've made 119 of them. This week's will be 120. That's 120 videos dedicated to just getting MGP. I don't think anybody can really complain too much about that. I've covered every week for the last couple of years. Absolutely ridiculous, but I love doing it. Again, that's why I do it. So we've gone on to a little bit of a tangent. Other things I briefly wanted to talk about, since, that was kind of like a deep discussion on why I do what I do. But basically, we've not really had much news. The only thing we've got is the Moogle Itinerant event, which starts on May 18th. Yeah, May 18th, 2020, which is a Monday. So 6-ish days from now. That'll start at 8 a.m. GMT and will last until 5.3. Now, the main rewards, I'm not going to go through everything. There'll be a video for that. But the main reward is that Mamasheba necklace. So a necklace that has a Mamasheba in it, which will cost us 100 of these tomestones. And yeah, there'll be lots of dungeons to spam. I'm not sure how you enjoy your grind. I love a good grind. Take that out of context if you want to. I don't care at this point. But I do love a good grind on a game, especially one I love. I will get all of those rewards. I've got most of them anyway, but the necklace, I've got a bit of a collection going on. I've got the Namazu one, so yeah, I need it. There's also some earrings as well that I would really like, some cocoon earrings. I don't know if they're in the game already, actually. I'll have to check up on that. But yeah, it looks to be an interesting event, and that's basically what they're filling the time with. Something simple that people can just grind away for. There's lots of previous event items on there, including the Susanoo dog mount from Susanoo Extreme, that one. There's also stuff like Ixion mount, for example, for people who don't have a populated server or don't use World Visit and the World Visit system, so they can actually do that without having to wait until 3 a.m. to do the Ixion fate in the locks. So that's good. So there's lots of little bits. It's fun. It's nothing crazy, but it's something, right? It's something. In a time when they can't actively upload anything and they can't develop things properly and everything's being pushed back in the development cycle because of this situation, and no one really knows what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone in July. Yeah, it's good that we have something. I was hoping they would do something other than just cash shop updates. We had a massive cash shop update recently. Obviously, all of this stuff, another thing people don't realize, all of the cash shop items I pay for. I don't get anything from Square Enix, okay? That's the absolute truth. When it comes to the Mog Station, I own every item, apart from maybe a couple of orchestrion rolls, every item from a Mog Station, from its conception to current day, and all of that stuff has been purchased for the purpose of videos. So I do invest a lot back into it. I have a Patreon for the most part to re-inject money into projects, to be the first to have a video up on a certain topic, right? To have like, this is a preview of this is how much it costs in all 3 major regions in the world, and this is what it looks like. I love doing those videos. They cost an absolute fortune sometimes, like the previous one, but I love doing it. So I really appreciate all of the people who are paying a little bit, you know, even $1 here and there really is quite incredible. And I'm not begging for money before people start asking. I'm just letting people know in this episode of Tea Time what I do. You know, I didn't need to make this sort of topic. I didn't need to tell you any of this, but there's no secrets to behold, you know. If I'm doing something, I'm doing something, and I stick to my word, and I try to keep my willpower in that direction, because there's a lot of people that benefit from my videos, whether I understand it or not. Some people love just putting on a video, listening to me ramble for like an hour. I don't understand it personally, because I think my voice is like the equivalent of a gopher stuffed into a briefcase, then put through like a sandwich slicer. And then the screams basically echoing from inside the suitcase are my voice. Bit of a weird analogy, admittedly. But that's what I feel my voice sounds like. It's nothing special. But it is what it is. If people get a kick out of it, people enjoy listening to me, then that's all that I need at the end of the day to make me continue. And, you know, supporting actually makes me able to pay rent and do more content. So there is that as well. So anyway, we're going to move into the second half of Tea Time now, and I'm going to re-invite my friend James, who's been my friend for 20 plus years, I don't know at this point, and we're going to talk more about the same sort of stuff, really. But I want to kind of gauge his appreciation for his first ever time on YouTube, so stay tuned for that. Gladiators, yes. You go on my first whistle. All right, ready? Get a 3, 2, 1, bow. That was where you were supposed to bow. There we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second part of the Tea Time. I was originally going to start this by doing a separate video, but I thought I'd try a different format, as I said in the first half, and we'd do things a little differently and have James for the second half. I will get other guests, don't worry. It's just, you know, James is kind of easy to... You're easy, James. Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
You're easy. You're pretty easygoing, and you're easy. There you go. So I thought it would be interesting just to get a little bit of a summary of what it was like to have a guest on last time, talk you through some of the comments, because this is the first time you've ever been on a YouTube video where you've talked.
Yeah.
As far as I know. And it's good fun, right? But I thought I'd put that in the second half so people can choose not to watch it if they want to, because we had some interesting comments, okay? Before we get to that juicy little bit of comedy, let's talk about the new thing that you don't know about unless you've opened it. Bad, James, if you have. The Itinerant Moogle event is coming back for May the 18th. So we're talking 7 days, 6 days at the time of recording of this video, actually, because this is coming out Tuesday. So yeah, 6 days from now, we're getting the Moogle event. Okay, so if you haven't looked at the page, what do you think the top reward will be?
Mounts.
Nope.
Oh.
No. For 100 tomes, what would you want for 100 tomes, James?
Glamour. Like a big ass meteor emote.
A meteor emote? That's not glamour. Well, I guess it's glamour if you spam it enough.
Yeah.
Just stand around in
well, you know, I
never
get to use LB3.
Oh man, can you imagine? That's a whole different topic. Oh, like limit breaks as emotes would be incredible.
It really would. Actually.
Not joking. That'd be amazing. Imagine if I could do the healing one all the time. People would be blind.
Yeah, you'd just be on your knees all day.
People like standing next to Zara when he does his ultimate emote. You know, the emote he purchased for a large amount of money and he got a free statue.
Yeah.
So anyway, it is a piece of glamour for your neck.
Wait, a necklace?
It is a necklace, yes. Do you want to have a guess, hazard a guess as to what the theme is this time around?
Is it Moogles again?
No, it's not Moogles.
Oh.
I bet you're just dying to know.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Mama Sheba. It's a doggo necklace. So it's like got that, you know, the actual minion, which I would summon, but it would mean me actually going through menus, and I'm not going to do that whilst recording. The Mama Sheba, it has this like green neckerchief. Essentially, it's like the head of the dog on your neck. So you have the actual neckerchief, the green thing, and then just a little Mama Sheba head. It's like if you had got one of those shrunken heads that they have.
Oh, yeah.
You know, where you shrunk down the head. It's like voodoo sort of stuff, but it's, imagine that, but it's like just a slightly smaller dog head. But that's 100 tomestones of lore, which is what they're going for, LAW, not LORE.
100 for a necklace.
Absolutely. We had that before, though, with the Namazu one, and I ground for that as well. So, okay, that's the first thing. So what do you think extras on there? What do you think is really the new focus of this event, considering they've not had much development time and we can't be too critical?
Well, it's got to be mounts, right?
Right. So the other featured item that's new to this is a mount.
Dogs.
It is actually the Susanoo dog exclusively, without any of the other dogs. So that's the one they're going for this event. The other thing you can get is the Ixion mount. For 50. Yeah, you see, now I thought that was a really positive thing. People are like, oh, that's just takes away from the open world fates. But to be honest, most of the people I know that don't have it are because they work shifts, and when they come home, they've already missed it, or it's like 3 a.m. or something stupid. You know, they haven't got time for that.
You have to get lucky to get the Ixion fate if you work all full time as well.
Absolutely. So 50 tomes. Oof. Easy.
It's still, it's a bit of a grind, but
it's a bit of a grind, but it's not that bad, especially if you do the Aurum Veil method, which is making a return as well. So there's that, which we did last time with Blue Mages, if you remember. I think me, Dano, and Rose, and someone else did it. Was it Velvet? Probably Velvet. I don't know. People in our FC. There we go. That people have never heard about before, but there we go. Yeah, so really, the only real like new thing, as far as I know, is the Mama Sheba necklace. There is actually a Cockern earring. You know, the Cockern, or we sometimes call them Cockerian or whatever. People absolutely destroyed me for saying Cockerian, by the way. Absolutely destroyed me. I was like, actually, it's Cockern. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
I'll add that to the list of Chocobo, and everything else, shall we? You know, it's fine. But yeah. So there's a few bits and pieces. We've got a return of all of the Beast Tribe mounts from A Realm Reborn, if people still haven't got those. They're really pushing that. But the main focus this time around is that they've had basically one of the Alliance Raid series return to Ivalice for each of the tombstone tiers. I say tombstone. Oh, someone's going to be angry now. Tombstone tiers. So you have I think it's
Orbon.
Yeah. Orbon is like, if you open the page for me, because I can't. I think it's 7 on that.
7, yeah.
Yeah, 7.
Ridorana is 6.
Yeah, and then we got 5 for the easy one, Rabanasta, which scales very badly. As in, you can blow it to pieces, can't you? You remember when we did it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could kill the first boss before the first blizzards.
Yeah, it's that ridiculous. And the last boss is just like... I think the last time I did it, we got to the last boss, Rofakale, and basically, he never did the whole safe spot that you get mind controlled and you have to press your button to time it right to go into it. He didn't even get that far. He died after the second, look away mechanic. It's like, what? Yeah. So that's actually really, really beneficial if people have a goal of farming something. The top one, of course, is 10 tomes for doing Castrum Praetorium, which, I mean, yeah. like 50 minutes nearly for.
Yeah, but Mary Adam's longer, isn't it? Wasn't Casper and Mary longer?
No, I thought Prey was longer than Mary. I don't know.
It can't be too much apart, surely.
Is it wrong to say that even though I've ran that place like a million times, I still don't know which is longer? And I think it's Prey. But that's mostly because there's more cutscenes, right? You just sit there and watch YouTube. Or I sit there and watch YouTube and occasionally press a button. It's like, here's a cutscene, then you're out of a cutscene, the boss is dead within 2 globals. Oh, look, another cutscene.
No, I guess it must be, because I was just looking. It's 10 for Prey and 7 for Casper and Mary.
Yeah, complete garbage. You got Aurum Vale down there at 5 as well, which is my preferred method of spamming.
Colours Cry for 3.
Colours Cry, yeah. Colours
4,
Cry.
actually.
4. Still Colours Cry, though. Lots of teleportation. Meh.
Yeah.
But, the rewards aren't going to blow anybody away, I don't think. But I think some people in the community, like myself, will be all over that Mamasheba necklace. And then there will be a lot of people who say, well, why aren't the other dogs on here yet? You know? But here's what it is. Maybe the next Moogle event will get, like, the Lakshmi dog instead. And then the one after it will get, like, all of them at once. That's usually how it works.
They do seem to be doing just one mount at a time, don't they, for bosses?
So,
you've only got the demonic planner, which is...
Oh, yeah, from Zervan, yeah. I don't think all of the birds have been on there before.
I'm pretty sure, if I remember, isn't it like just one at a time usually? Or 2?
I can't remember if there was 2 last time. I do these videos and I completely forget because they're so far apart.
It might have been 2 because there was no dog last time.
That's right. The dog is making its first debut, so to speak.
So I wonder if they're going to do 2 dogs later on once they've gone through all the birds.
2 dogs, 1 cup. No, that's not a reference.
No.
We shouldn't go down that route. I don't know why that popped into my head, actually, but that sounds like a terrible video. Why is that in my head? I don't understand. It's because somebody was mentioning the original reference the other day in Discord, and it's just like melted into my brain.
I think that was me the other night.
This is why when I'm writing stuff, I shouldn't be like listening to Discord because you corrupt me with garbage.
I'm offended.
Oh, you should be offended. So let's move on to the bit that I'm looking forward to your reactions. So, this is live. Do not swear. This is Channel 4. So we have some interesting comments. Okay, we're not gonna like post their names on screen because I don't think that's really that fair. We got some good ones though. Somebody says, "I want to hear James again. Love heart. Please bring him back again. Smiley face."
Ooh.
What do you think today?
They've obviously never met me, have they?
Obviously never met you. Sound like a Bond villain or something. The hell? Did you have like a pool of sharks?
No, but I had my room of hope and happiness.
Oh yeah, your deprived room of hope and happiness. Yes.
Yes. Lock people in my coffin.
I like the idea of guests. I really enjoyed listening to you too. Love this and the guest. Hope to see more like this. Thank you. It's always nice when I'm farming mounts to listen to this. There you go. People are like listening to you right now, presumably, what's trying to farm mounts. There you go, you see.
That's how you do a grind properly.
Here's a great comment. Why do men play female characters all the time? I've already had my own opinions on this over the years, and people always slate me, so it's your turn. You explain it.
Why I play a female character? Well, essentially, I grew up with female heroes. Buffy and Charmed and all that. So when I think of a hero, I always think of a woman. So play a story game, heroes, women. I mean, how many times? I've must have watched Buffy box set about 50 times.
Man, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah. It kind of works, especially in Final Fantasy XIV. It's kind of like a normal person shifted into a role of hero.
Yeah, actually, it is
sort of against your will, especially when you kind of just get pulled to the sides and not really given the choice to join and then go fight Ifrit.
I mean, yeah. I mean, in 1.0, I was a fisherman, so that changed.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'm just fishing outside of Limsa. Then I uninstalled the game. It's like, oh yeah, if you actually played to level 50, you would have had a cool tattoo and stuff. Damn it.
Yeah. So that's why I play in RPGs. That's why I play female characters.
That's awesome. I've not actually thought about that before. Is that weird? I don't know. Some people were trying to say that I've been like, oh, you're just an overly feminist sort of person. I was like, no, not really. It's like, oh, well, you're just wish you were a girl. Not really.
No.
And then somebody draws like some kind of sexual argument into it, and I'm just like, no, not really. It's a character. It is an avatar, if we're going to use that word. It's a toon, as some people call it. I hate that word personally.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
character.
Character. Your original character, your OC, right? Your character. It's not necessarily how you identify yourself, but I guess it does reflect on you a little bit.
It reflects on your basically all your inspirations of the past, depending on what you watched as a kid, as TV programs and movies and everything else.
So what you can take from James is he watched a lot of messed up stuff. His house design, like his apart, like his room design, is just dark, the lighting set to 0, and has like glowy, dark themed items and blood on the floor and a coffin, and then he dresses in black.
It's been in your videos.
It has been in videos before, yeah. Oh yeah, people can actually draw the comparison of who you actually are now. Yeah, this is a guy who has some interesting designs in his little room of torture and happiness.
Hope and happiness.
Happiness. Well, it's pretty interesting. Every new item that comes out, and I'm like, oh, that's slightly James themed. Here you go. Oh, dear.
Yeah, that's why I never have any gil.
There's actually a few things that I need to give you actually. At some point that have been recently added. I'm like, well, if you dye that black, it's evil. So yeah, there's like the dressing up table. You can have that if you want it. It's from Hawk Manor. It's got like a glass in it. Yeah. I
think I need to buy a house because I'm scared.
Buying a house on Ragnarok. Do I want to tell you that is a foolish endeavor unless you have plenty of clicking ability and time?
Yeah, I'm running out of room in my room.
Room in your room, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's see what other comments we got. We got, since there's the two of you this time, it would seem like it would be more appropriate for your characters to be sitting rather than standing in the surf. And they recommended a bar. Well, I guess we just messed that up then because we're stood on a wall next to a Moogle.
They've got some random people in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it'd be nice to be in a public place. I've no idea who this person is with a lovely bow next to the Moogle or whose cat that is. And I think there's somebody ERPing behind us next to a tree. But we won't talk about that, right?
I mean, he's got a cool helmet on.
Is that a helmet? I mean, I'm not going to move my camera because it's in a fixed position. All I see is this person with like a flat cap that's barely covering their head.
You're talking about the bard. I was talking about the warrior behind.
Yeah, they've got a cute cat though. That cat though. Just Alexander flashbacks right there. Somebody says we need more James. There you go. You got more James. Have a guest. Have two guests. 5, 100. I don't mind. I watch your videos for you and your excellent coverage on things. Bringing guests on simply enriches the experience and joy of watching your content. Hope you don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. Dare to do things differently. I like you.
Just don't have the static on because it'd just be a big beep.
Well, they said 100, right? I'm not sure if we could even do that. Can you even imagine? It would just be a cacophony of... It'd be like standing in a real-life Limsa Laminta. You'd have people doing weird stuff over there. You'd have people doing stuff over there. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, the idea of having multiple guests is definitely in my process of thought. You were just easy, like I say. You are easy. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what you have to take from this. You're the easiest person ever.
Basically, I've just got nothing to do at the moment.
Yeah, retail worker with no retail to work in.
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh dear. Let's see what other things we have here. Mostly because I haven't scripted any of this, and here we go. His microphone isn't clear and loud enough like your mic is, Meoni. Well, the thing is, not everybody has a YouTube channel and a Patreon fund to put back into videos. So, unfortunately, it's the best he can do, right? That in a minute.
Yeah, with my cheap £15 microphone compared to your God knows how much that costs.
Let's not talk about this.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about the RE20. It's, yeah.
We might give people nightmares.
It's not the most expensive microphone. There's worse on the market.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
I got this because it's got a nice sort of tone to it. Nice depth. You know, it's very old actually in comparison to modern stuff. It works in a very different way, but you have to drive a lot into it to actually get anything out of it. Whereas yours is just like, have all the sound at once. Even if you don't want it.
Just download RTX Voice.
This involves having an RTX graphics card, which I do not currently.
Ooh.
Yes.
You're on AMD?
No.
Oh,
it's just old enough not to be RTX. This will change.
You can hack the RTX Voice to have to work on GTX.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think it's just a code change. Basically, just stop the program from checking for RTX, and it works apparently.
Fair enough. Okay. Do you want to have a stab at Eureka? Do you want to have a stab at opinions on Eureka? Because I want you to, you're going to reply to this comment, okay? I've replied to a lot of Eureka comments. You're taking that role today. This is your one goal for this video, okay? So this person says, the reason why I don't like Eureka is that you need people and that they need to be the same level as you. Not 100% sure about the level part. In Eureka to progress in it, and with most of the population being in the higher levels, it is hard to get a group to stick with and get past the first few areas and get to the more populated areas. That's probably one of the reasons why people don't like the grind, inverted commas, of Eureka. And about the thing with grind versus reward, yes, there will always be lazy and entitled people, but if games constantly push out grinds with a reward of you beat it, the reward is completion and the friends you made, it will get old and become an overused excuse for lack of reward. Points?
Well, the level thing's just not wrong, isn't it? Unless you're grinding mobs. Right. If you're doing fate training, level doesn't matter. And, well, the thing about that is, sure, it's probably going to be a bit crap now if you're going into Anima or Pegasus. But I mean, the reason we said we enjoyed it was because we did it when it was relevant and there was actually people about.
True, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, going back in there now is probably going to be a bit more of a slog.
You know, I think last tea time I mentioned to the point where it was dead.
Yeah.
And people actually came back with me and said that they listed certain servers, obviously, that on our data center apparently are like fully fledged. There are like hundreds of people doing it every day and like every night. So apparently it's still very much a thing, but it just doesn't seem to be a thing on Chaos. So I guess our experience is very different from theirs, but apparently it's still very popular. That actually really shocked me because I was like, why are people... I mean, I know why, but how come they have such a different approach to... Yeah, that person jumping over was brilliant. Couldn't script this stuff. You know, it's surprising to me that people are actively doing it, but...
Still trying to get that minion from thingy.
Oh yeah, or
Cassie.
Yeah, Cassie. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that stuff. It sells like an absolute fortune. I'm glad I got it when I did. Actually, the chances of me getting that stuff now are very, very unlikely. But you've got people, and as well, a follow up to that. Somebody said, "I don't know what you're talking about, Meoni. Baldessian Arsenal is as popular as it ever was before. The Discord community is doing runs all the time. I cleared it the previous weekend, and I've got 4 players under my belt." I was like, okay, that's surprising. I'm pretty sure that I must miss all of those notices then on that Discord, unless it's a different one. Maybe, there is a different one, isn't there? Because it's based on data center. Basically, our data center, Chaos, isn't really doing much in regards to Eureka anymore, which...
No, it doesn't look like it.
I mean, it can't be just my opinion, because when I look, there's nothing happening. If I go into Eureka, I see, like, myself in there. If that's Hydatos, Pegasus, Pyros, no matter which one I go into, the only time I've seen another person, that other person teleported out as soon as I was, like, walked up to them. You know?
Yeah, I drop in every now and again to keep working on the White Mage relic.
Are you really?
Like the light stage in Pegasus.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, precisely. You usually get about maybe 10 people at max.
Wow, the fact that you get 10 people actually impresses me at this point.
Yeah. But, you kill some mobs, get some light, and then after about an hour, you realise you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, it's a slog. I mean, I did a few weapons back then, and I wish I'd done more, but honestly, I spent all my time in there. It probably wouldn't be a good idea for me to do it again until Boss Jar, and then I'll be doing it again. So, I love Eureka. I still stand by that. I don't care.
I think if they nerf it a bit...
Yeah, it's a fantastic piece of content.
To make it a bit more soloable, yeah.
Baldessian is still a thorn in my side, and I don't know. This guy says that there's runs. I don't know. Our data center doesn't seem to be that active. I'll have to look better at things and see if I can find a group. I've always wanted to clear it.
The only community event?
We might be able to do that. It depends how many of my viewers play on Chaos.
Oh, yes.
I suppose they could create a character, join our FC, and we could just go in as... Oh, man, that would be so cool. Maybe we could do something, like set something up and at least do like a bit of... We could go through together, even if there's only like 10 of us or 20 of us. We could get some of the weapons done. But the people who would go into that, they'd have to realize that you have to be in there a long time.
Yeah.
Animos, not so much. Pagos, yes. Pyros is very quick. Very, very quick if you have a group. The fates are very rewarding indeed. And then you got like Hydatos, which is just a slog. So, but the best thing about Hydatos is to get the glowy weapon, it's only like 2 stages, whereas in, you don't actually have to finish the weapon, because the only way to do that is do Baldessian. So, to get the extra stats for Eureka only.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we might set that up. Watch this space. It might be completely garbage, but...
I mean, we've got a fair few people in the FC.
We do, yeah. Let's go for this one. Somebody sympathized with you in New Game Plus. They said, I'm looking forward to New Game Plus. I've been holding off until A Realm Reborn is added because I want to start from the beginning. I can't stand grinding for levels, but I love the storyline. I was particularly fond of A Realm Reborn. I'd also like to do my remaining side quests with the context of the appropriate part of the MSQ. Hearing NPCs talk about events that are long since over in side quests can be jarring.
Side quests can be a bit iffy because you're not going to be... it takes away all the side quest markers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, basically nothing. There's no quest markers on the map when you do New Game Plus. Because you can't, because it's technically, I suppose, a separate instance.
So how do you do them?
Well, side quests.
You can't do them then, or?
Side quests aren't included in New Game Plus, no.
No. That was a planned feature for the future, though, right?
Yes, I think they're planning on bringing it all in. And I will be doing A Realm Reborn and all the way back through to Shadowbringers again.
Speaking of context, though, like I suppose it's really helped you understand a lot more of the plot points.
Yeah. So, although I do wish they'd just leave A Realm Reborn as it is now in New Game Plus and just do it and cut the stuff out for the main scenario.
That is something we didn't talk about last time. So, do you think that 13% of the quest being removed is a negative thing then? Is there anything in particular in those running about quests that they're talking about that you really really think should stay, other than the introduction of new characters, which they've confirmed will be there anyway?
Well, it's not so much it's a negative thing. It just depends on how they do it, I suppose. I mean, a lot of the fetch quests in Realm Reborn I took as, well, yeah, you're basically a nobody. You're an adventurer, and that's what adventurers do. They go around helping people.
So it's more about that sort of your role, sort of giving you a little bit more time to be just you before you become a warrior of light.
Yeah, I mean, even in between, I mean, it's not until, like, Castrum and that you really start getting recognised and famous, is it really? Until just before that, actually.
Well, recently, because I've been doing those unnecessary censorship videos, I've been watching a lot of the cutscenes. I've basically had my own little New Game Plus experience just with the cutscenes, and I've been watching them through to try and find funny bits that I can use, right? But one of the things I didn't realize is how early on the Scions noticed that you weren't just you. And a lot of the context that I didn't get back on my first playthrough, because it's been a long time since I've seen those cutscenes, is really interesting. There's like link pearl conversations that you only hear like one side of that are insinuating that you are something more. And it's the Scions, basically. They've staked you out. They know exactly who you are, and they're watching you like a hawk. It's no coincidence that Ida and Papalimo are in that particular part of the forest. I know they're investigating something else, but it's all linked together, and they knew you were going to be there specifically as well.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, but you don't get recognised by the wider community, which means...
True.
You know, which means you're basically just an adventurer to them, and you're basically helping them out.
Yeah, you basically get put on like a watch list, like, oh, this guy's pretty helpful, or girl, or whatever, you know?
Yeah. I think if they cut too much and you're basically going from, haha, you're now a hero, you're basically going from nothing to everything too quickly.
I mean, it's a safe bet to imagine that anything that would result in a cutscene would still be there, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of very, very good unvoiced cutscenes, and some voiced as well, which I, have been using quite liberally in those videos. But there's a lot of cutscenes back then. They just had them back to back. They were kind of a bit nonsense as well, but they would have bits in them that would give greater world development. And my fear really is that 13% is such a large number on paper of how much of that could be taken away from your involvement in places. And the more people have talked to me and give me feedback in comment sections, the more I'm starting to change towards the belief that maybe it's going to be a bit too severe of a change just for the draw of new players. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that's fine if they could implement the original as it is now into New Game Plus, so you can go back and replay it as it is.
So you would want the new player experience to not necessarily be the same as New Game Plus. And the new player experience is like the cut down one, and then you get the full story if you...
Because then you can also go back and go, well, if you want the extended version of Realm Reborn, which adds more to the lore, but not to the main sort of storyline, and maybe gives it, you can go back and replay it.
Here's an idea that I thought of off of a microphone the other day. I was thinking, if you were going to approach this, instead of taking the time to like go through and cut things down, maybe flag the accounts that are currently enabled the way they are, okay?
Yeah.
And keep them so that if they create a new character on their accounts, they get the same experience as they ever did, okay?
Yeah.
Hear me out on this. Say, for instance, you bought the game tomorrow and started playing the game. Have an alternate start that doesn't have as much fluff, but gets to the key points faster as a separate route for new player accounts specifically.
Could do, yeah.
Because I look at other games, like I've been recently playing a bit of Elder Scrolls Online. It's mostly because it's free to play once you buy it. It's a buy to play game. And that's a cool thing. I have nothing against that game at all. The developers are lovely. They send me preview codes of stuff. Not that really influences it too much, but it's a really good game to just chill in. It's nothing crazy. I'm not interested in the end game. The storylines are brilliant and everything's voice acted. But the thing that really interested me is that Rose my partner, created an account. So for the first time ever, she started, because she purchased the game recently, in Morrowind, like the part of that game, which she actually started on a boat, like the original Morrowind introduction, right? Which is mind-blowing to me, because I started and you have the whole like thing where you're with Molag Bal and you're in Cold Harbor, and it's a lengthy period. She started on a boat. I was like, oh my god, that looks so cool. So the idea is that new players get a cut down experience, but a new experience that you wouldn't get unless you were to, I guess, create a new character. But I like the idea of alternate starts happening based on the lore-specific timeline as we go forward. I kind of like that idea enough to possibly say, hey, look, that would be cool in 14 if we had like an alternate start that, yes, this person becomes another warrior of light or whatever, but they have a different experience. And I think that would bring a lot more people, to create new characters and stuff, but also bring a lot more people in because they have the time now to create a really nice storyline, and there's no demand for it in terms of time. So they could work on this in the behind the scenes with some of that extra budget that we don't know where is going, and develop stuff like that. I don't know. A lot of people are going to comment below and say that's a terrible idea. Keep it the way it is. Never change anything, and that's a completely valid viewpoint as well. But
I think it would be pretty cool.
Think of what you could do with the technology they have now. I'm not asking for everything to be voice acted, because that's unrealistic unless you literally have the same 4 people voicing the whole game, right? But I'm asking, maybe a new player experience shouldn't necessarily be the new player experience. It should be a different character experience, you know? I don't know.
Yeah,
and maybe
I suppose.
Or even tailor just the intro, right? Like World of Warcraft did, where the intro, just that first 5 levels is all that's different and is a better introduction. You know, the UI, when you start the game for the first time, is horrendous. The help menus are ridiculous.
That would be actually rather interesting. Because, I mean, maybe not the 5 level, but you could do the city quests slightly differently.
Yeah. You could have like a narrated thing like "Welcome to Gridania" sort of thing, and then the first quest you pick up would be Novice Hall. That would make me happy. Put the Novice Hall into the MSQ. Oh my god! If you're going to put stuff into the MSQ, put the Novice Hall completion into the MSQ.
That would, yeah.
Because they're going, oh well, the mount is now going to be like mandatory. Crystal Tower is now going to be part of the MSQ, mandatory to continue past that point in you know, that particular patch. So why not just make Novice Hall mandatory? People complain all the time that people don't know how buttons work at the start of a game, like taunt and stuff like that, you know.
Plus, you know, you get the rewards of the gear anyway.
Yeah, and most people don't know about the gear because it's not told to them. So you could refine that user experience in the first 5 levels. Very, very minor changes. You don't really have to do much. Make a few things mandatory. Maybe have it better told to you instead of 50 text boxes. It's not, I don't know.
Well,
I should work for Square Enix.
Well, it'd be interesting because you do, well, I started in Ulor, obviously.
Yeah.
But you do actually go to the Adventurers Hall, which is basically right next to the Smith or the Novice Hall, to talk to the Guildmaster there.
Same with the Gridania start, because I started as Conjurer and all of that. So
it wouldn't be too hard to have a separate quest before that, just saying, oh, you've had a long journey, you may be a bit rusty here.
Yes. So
do this.
So like that Mother Meoni or whatever, she basically just have an animation, which I know they can do, where they just change viewpoint to look towards the Novice Hall NPC, and he looks towards you, and then looks back at you and goes, maybe you should check that you're all right for the journey to continue. Sort of thing. Or I don't know. Like, it's been a long journey. Rest up at the inn if you want to, and check out your gear, and we'll set you off.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, there could be inputs like, oh, your clothes are looking a bit raggedy.
Yeah.
Do this thing. We'll set you up with some new
But that would be really cool because we've always started with a level 1 starting gear, and you get to keep that. But having the NPC say, "Well, that's not really up to standard now. We'll give you some new stuff to help you out." You know, you don't even have to change anything really story related. It's quite a positive change here and there that's minor, makes for a way better experience. If I had that at the start of the game when I played, my goodness, it would just feel so much better. I'm not asking them to boost my character. I'm not asking them to give me too many stats. Those things are already on that novice gear. Just make it mandatory. Make us have more. The earlier you give people information and help them by showing them, the better. Having it optional and tucked in a corner, and honestly, the heads-up display hardly anybody reads, all the symbols at the start of the game, is not good enough, in my opinion. But there we go.
No.
Not for a 2020 player experience. Because they're going to come from games like ESO that literally tells them how to play within like a few seconds in the most simple user interface method ever, or like Warcraft, which has refined its experience about 20 times over the years. You know, it's about time, I think.
Yeah, the help UIs are not very good when you start.
It's really not. But
it's just a bunch of pictures and a wall of text.
Some people are going to comment from a perspective of saying, no, that's a bad use of funds. But like we said, it's not going to cost that much. It's not too much time. You know, it's not a major change. And then other people will say, well, what's the point? They just need to learn to read. But that is an incredible viewpoint I see all the time. But not everybody has the same capabilities as everyone else. Not everybody will take that time. Me, myself, I will not take that time in a new game to just go and click on every NPC. You know.
Plus, you don't always get the context by reading it.
That's right. Especially when you're bombarded with the amount of information at once.
Plus, you know, it doesn't actually show you how your role works.
That's true.
Which the Novice Hall does. It's like people coming from other games maybe thinking, healer, all I have to do is stand around and heal.
Yeah, I mean...
And then they're thinking, well, this is really boring because half the time I'm doing nothing.
Yeah, whereas they should, you know, occasionally be throwing stones at stuff and, you know...
Yeah.
Keeping up.
Novice Hall actually teaches you that, if I remember rightly.
Like the role actions and stuff as well. You know, you've redesigned this stuff. You've made it so that role actions is a thing. If they're happy with the way that is currently, I know there are members of the community that wish we go back to the way before we had role actions, but that's not going to happen now. So maybe they should flesh that out a little bit, make it easier to understand. But yeah, that's a bit of a tangent, but at the same time, I think it's a valid point.
What on earth is going on in the background?
I don't know. I just see somebody walking around.
No, right in the background, there's some...
Oh, I think they're dancing on a rock or something. That's quite funny. I don't know.
What's that Rogan doing? It's like...
I don't know. I don't know if the resolution of this video is going to let people zoom in, but right next to my head, he's talking about people dancing or something on a rock. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. Some extra stuff, but I think we came up with some good ideas.
Yeah.
For the most part. So, but yeah. Anything you want to finish off with?
Not really.
Not really. I like that honest answer. But yeah, hopefully everybody's been enjoying this. You know, it's a bit freeform. We don't really have that much to talk about. Obviously, 5.3 July, possibly a Moogle event. Apart from that, it's pretty much business as usual, right? Bit of raiding here and there. Looking forward to things that we can't touch yet, and that's it.
Yeah, so a lot of research into E8S.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you're me anyway, I think I've spent about 7 hours.
Hours and hours and hours of watching other people try to clear content just so you can get a better idea. And I'm still none the wiser, so that's fun. But anyway, from both of us, thank you kindly for watching wherever you are. Enjoy the rest of your week. Try and stay safe. I know a lot of governments are changing policies this week, but just use a bit of common sense and you should be fine. But that's all I have to say. So, you want to say bye, James?
See you later.
All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.